Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is G-Ball, and today I have a new knife here to share with you coming in from Artisan Cutlery. I've been very happy with CJRB and Artisan so far this year. We're only a couple of months in, and on both sides they have had some killer stuff come out. The Double Tap, the Tundra, and a few others on the CJRB side. Artisans had the Tortoise and Fragorock. So already a really good year for Artisan and CJRB. This is one of the knives I've been waiting on the most, along with the Tundra and Double Tap, just because of the design of this knife right here. And it's going to be a Dusty Rhodes design. He does some really cool stuff. Now, if this is your first time stopping in, welcome to G-Ball Vision. Drop a comment down below and let me know what your EDC is for today. Feel free to let me know the entire loadout. Look at this thing. Oh, man. This is going to be called the Darkwing, and these knives are available. There's at least 2 different versions from what I've seen. Like I said, this is going to be a Dusty Rhodes design. Look at this thing closed up here. What a wicked looking aesthetic. So we have a titanium frame here that has a purplish anodized finish to it. And that is going to match all the way around with the backspacer and the pocket clip. Even the studs are going to match. So we got the cutout stud combo, which I really like. And then we also have a front flipper integrated there. And that looks like it is going to work pretty well. We'll see about that here in a moment. Perfectly centered up. We have, looks to be like it's going to be right hand carry only, so no lefty love on this particular model. Look at that blade. Oh man, we're looking at S35VN for the blade steel, and I think these are going to come in at $199.99 on the Artisan website. And then the other version is going to have a stonewash finish, where this one is a black PVD. Oh, look at that thing. That is wicked as hell. Dusty Rhodes, I read the little blurb under this knife. He wanted to create his own kind of recurved, big, broad blade and put his own twist on it. And I will say, he did a killer job with it. You can see the maker's mark there on the back with the S35VN. And then we have the Artisan nice and tight up against the frame. I don't mind that whatsoever. At least we don't have something big out in the middle of the blade. I have trouble more and more liking that type of aesthetic from these companies, just putting stuff right out in the middle of the blade. But here, we don't have to worry about that. The detent feels very good there off the reverse flick and the thumb flick. The front flipper has them wider jimps, but they're pretty grippy. So this is going to be nice and easy to front flip. You have a good distance above the frame and a good distance from the pivot there, plus the detent. That is a recipe for a good front flipper action. Let's get a look here at the actual size of this fella. We'll start off with the total length, and we're going to come in right there at 7 7/8 overall. We have 3.5 inches of cutting edge, and we'll call it 3 5/8 of total blade. Couple of comparison knives for you. We'll do a couple of Artisans here and CJRB. We got the Fragorock up top, which is fantastic. And then we have the Double Tap, which I showed you earlier in the video. Going to be a little bit smaller than both of those. 2 more, we have the Tenable Link up top and the CJRB Beast Tundra on the bottom. We'll try to nail it down here with these 2. We have the Kaiser Milital up top and the ZT0117 on the bottom. And that's a very close representation of its length. The Milital is going to be just a touch longer than the Darkwing. We'll grab one of our 50 ways baked in G-Ball Vision hanks here and take a look at this clip. I like that off angle we have there. That should help ride over the pocket seem pretty good. Retention seems nice and strong there. Let's see what we have. And yeah, good tight retention. And you will have a decent amount poking out of the pocket there. Typical milled tie clip. It is a single Torx, but that is going to be recessed in there, so not going anywhere. Don't have to worry about that. I prefer about this much poking out of my pocket most times. I have said that very often, and that's because I'm typically not trying to conceal my knife, and I totally understand deep carry clips. I have tons of them, and there's always occasions I use them, but like I said, more often than not, this is what I prefer. That way you have a good amount of the knife to grab a hold of and pull it out of your pocket or what have you. It just makes things a lot easier when you do have, 1/4 inch poking out or so. We're going to get the arch nemesis out and give the Darkwing a weight check. Now, with all the new knives that come into the channel, I like to play a little game here, and it's called Guess the Weight. Now, I invite you to play along. You put your guess down in the comments. You let me know what you think this is going to weigh in at, ounces or grams. Even if you already have a comment down there, or two, which you should, put another one down and put your guess in there. I love to see it. I'm going to give it a go here. Ooh. It don't have, it's got a little bit of weight, but for its size, it's not much at all. I'm going to say, this is a crazy looking knife. I'm going to say, it feels like a 3.6. That's what I'm going with. Oh! Damn. You can tell I love this stuff. 3.9 ounces and 112 grams. You better not have waited until after I put it on the scale. Don't be doing it. Don't be doing it. We'll grab the calipers here and get a couple of measurements on our handle and blade. We'll start off with the handle thickness. We have 0.47 there and 12.1 millimeters. We'll go to our blade stock thickness. Thickest part of the blade, 3.7 millimeters and 146 thousandths. We'll go to a behind the edge measurement. We'll do both here. Let's get this leading 23, and then this little recurve area back here, very slight. That's going to be a little bit, well, we're pretty high there. Let's get a little lower, about 25 thousandths there behind the edge. Kind of, well, I guess that makes sense. A little bit thicker back here if you're really getting into something, and then you have that kind of poking and slicing, more sliciness up towards the tip there. Let's see what we have for our hardware here. We have a non-tooled pivot. That looks really clean, that triangular shape. We have T8 on our body screws. Those are nice and tight. We have T8 on our pivot, T6 on the insert screw there, but T8 all the way around. So aside from the insert screw, very good. That is exactly what we want to see. Dusty Rhodes did a good job with that, and Artisan listened. We have pretty good lockup there, about 45 or 50%. We did check centering, and that looks good. Like I said, the detent is just fine on this fella, and the lock bar area is done well, chamfered, easy to get to and disengage. And then you're going to have an aesthetic here that you either hate it or you love it, and I like unique designs that still have a good utility to them, and I think this will definitely serve that purpose. Depending on what you're looking for, of course, this is going to poke and pierce nicely, and it should have no problem slicing. And that's what we're going to do now, is see what kind of edge we have out of the box. Since we didn't do that after we checked our BTE, let's see what we have here. Certainly going to be a good poke and slice type of knife. Let's see what we have as far as a transition. No problem with this magazine paper. It's got a really good edge on it. Beautiful edge. Oh. Very easy to use that entire edge. At least it'll be, that's subject probably to what you're cutting. But I'd say in a lot of cases, you should have, very easy transfer from the recurve into this bigger belly. Woohoo! I think I know what'll be going into my pocket here. The Fragerock, it took a while to get that knife out of my pocket. That knife is excellent. Got to move on at some point. But Fragerock is done really well. I'm kind of interested why they didn't do this one in S90V. They do a lot of knives, like the Fragerock, for instance, right now is coming in at 200. Now, you don't have quite the design that you have here. This is, I think, a little bit more intricate, maybe. And you have an equal price here. And depending on what you're looking for, S90V is the better edge retention steel, but S35 isn't that far behind and is very well rounded. For what it's worth, S35 is a very well-rounded steel. It's going to be tougher than S90. It has a good edge life to it, and they're both very corrosion resistant. So just kind of depends on what you're looking for, but they run at 60 to 62, which is perfection for S35 and for S90V. So no complaints there. Just curious as to and maybe that's what he wanted on it. Just curious to know what the idea was behind going with S35 over the S90 and vice versa. Now we're going to introduce the Darkwing to the Spine Whacker. As beautiful as this knife is, we check every knife that comes on through here, and I don't think we're going to have a problem. Artisan and CJRB do a phenomenal job with their quality control. So let's see what we have here. We'll go off with a light tap just to get things rolling, get the juices flowing a little bit. I don't feel any movement in there. Quick little tap. Yeah, I don't feel any movement in there. And I've talked with a few people about it recently, and the knife shouldn't have any movement in there, but there are going to be some where the tolerances are still good, the lockup is still good, but you might have like a little bit, a tiny bit of side to side, possibly up and down if it's like a bar lock or something, and that's up to you to decide if you don't like that or if you can deal with that little bit of movement. And that is going to vary from knife to knife. We could get 10 of these in, and 7 of them could be locked up like a vault, and 3 of them might have like maybe a tiny bit of side to side movement or something like that, right? That's possible, and still have good lockup and all that, and might not be very noticeable unless you're, really wrenching on the blade. But talk with the companies, if you have a concern or something like that, reach out to the company. If they are, a good company, they're going to take care of you. And Artisan, I believe they will take care of their customer. If you have an issue with your knife, I don't think you're going to have a problem with them. We'll give this a couple of taps here, and we're not trying to see if we can build your next house with the spine of this blade, or seeing if we can even hammer a nail into a tree with this. We're just making sure that we have a good lockup out of the box, and it seems that we do here. Yeah, that is awesome. This thing is sweet. Really, really sweet. I like this little area here with the jimping. Would have been, I probably would have ran it all the way out there to that area. You know what I mean? That's where your thumb's gonna land if you're up in this thing. I would have ran it all the way out here. But otherwise, I do like this. And I wonder if we could have got more backspacer in here or not. I think if we could have got it up here, that would have been extra sweet. Maybe there wasn't enough room for it, but I like this quite a bit. I'm just giving you my little critiques that I wouldn't mind seeing. And then, of course, you know, I'd love to see the option for lefty carry here. There's lots of clean ways to do that. You know, in 2026, there's lots of ways to do a clean show side and still include a lefty clip. There is. Now, what does that relate to in cost or something like that? That I don't know. I don't think it would be, you know, if it's worked in there, I don't think it should be that much more difficult, right? Just, I don't know. I'd like to see the option. We've seen plenty of examples that have just a really clean, you know, even if it's an off-colored piece like the black, or if it's a matching piece like the handle already is. You know, I think that would have been a nice touch. I did, however, want to bring out one that I think I might have mentioned it earlier in the video, the tortoise. This knife did not get enough love, in my opinion. It is freaking awesome. This is another newer knife. It hits right around 200 bucks, also S35, and that is a chunk of S35. You got the cutout and the front flipper there, full titanium handle. This thing is an absolute monster called the Tortoise. We did check this out a couple weeks back, I want to say. It's a crazy, crazy design. They've had an awesome year so far, CJRB. Some of these might trickle into late 2025, but, you know, that don't matter. This one sings every time you open it, the Fragerock S90V. So just a couple of examples from Artisan and CJRB here over the last couple of months. And then I definitely don't want to forget about this monster right here, the CJRB Tundra. They've also released some glow-in-the-dark models, basically models they've done in the past, but with glow-in-the-dark handles. Those are really cool. I have one here, actually, and they did several of them, but those are actual glow-in-the-dark handles, which is really cool. You'll have to let me know, what do you think of the Darkwing here and CJRB and Artisan's latest run? Last year, they killed it with the Pyrite Light series for like 30 bucks. They also had a heavy control of like the $80 to $90 area with some of their FRN and S90V blades, micarta and S90V. Some of those are still available, and some of them are out of stock, like the Bolt in S90V and micarta for 90 bucks was a superb deal, but those are sold out right now. So they have some killer stuff over there. I will have links to their website down in the description. I look forward to hearing your thoughts down in the comments. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button and subscribe for more dope knife and EDC content. I'll pop up a couple of new videos. Go check one of them out. Have yourself an awesome day. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.